So, what do you say? Are you coming with me tonight?
Yes, I'd love
Revenge
to.
doesn't start with a bang, it's not loud or chaotic. It begins as a quiet spark, that cold, tight knot in your gut when you realize the world has just tilted against you. I felt that spark the moment I walked into the Meridian Grand Ballroom, gripping a silver-wrapped gift box like some clueless fool walking straight into his own execution. The place glittered with obscene wealth chandeliers bright enough to blind. Marble floors so polished they reflected everything that was about to go wrong with my night. It was supposed to be a charity gala. Instead, it became the stage for the most humiliating moment of my life. I'd bought my wife, Sarah, a necklace. It was from some Italian jeweler whose name I couldn't pronounce without sounding drunk. She'd mentioned it months ago. Just a casual comment while flipping through a magazine. Husbands are supposed to remember those things, right? We file them away, thinking these small gestures are what keep a marriage warm. I wrapped it myself, tied it with a ribbon, and showed up in my best suit only to walk straight into a storm I never saw coming. As I moved through the crowd, I could feel it. The whispers, the way conversations would pause just as I passed. I should have known then. But you don't expect betrayal from the person you share a bed with. You don't brace yourself for the ground to just crack open beneath your feet. So when the laughter started, sharp and cruel, I followed the sound without thinking, and that's when I saw him. Benjamin Cross, 6'2", smug, polished to a high shine. Every inch the billionaire CEO that people worship for reasons I'll never understand. There he was, on one knee on the ballroom stage, holding a microphone like he was the star of some cheap romance movie. "Sarah," he said, his voice booming loud enough to shake the chandeliers, "will you leave your useless, weak husband and marry me?" Useless, weak. That was funny, considering the patents I held could have bought his last 3 yachts. But truth didn't matter in that moment. The crowd didn't care about truth. They erupted in a chorus of gasps and half-suppressed giggles, their phones already raised to record my downfall. And then Sarah, my wife of 7 years, stepped forward. She was wearing a smile so bright it felt like it was carved from a knife. "Yes," she said. The room exploded with applause. Cross pulled her into a dramatic, made-for-camera kiss while the guests cheered as if love had just triumphed, instead of decency being murdered right in front of them. And me? I just stood there, a ghost holding a gift meant for a woman who clearly didn't exist anymore. Everyone expected me to break. To scream, to curse, to maybe throw the necklace at Cross's perfectly coiffed hair. That would have given them the drama they were craving. But I've spent 15 years in the tech world. I know what real destruction looks like. It doesn't come from noise. It comes from precision, timing, and patience. So I turned around, no scene, no shouting. Just silence. I walked out, past the champagne fountain, past the string quartet that had stopped playing mid-note, past every stunned face waiting for me to fall apart. Outside, the cold Manhattan air felt like freedom. I slid into my Uber, placed the unopened gift box on the seat beside me, and watched the glittering nightmare of the ballroom fade behind the tinted glass. They thought they'd won. They thought this was the end of the story. But while Sarah and Cross were busy celebrating their shiny new scandal, I was finally seeing clearly for the first time in years. They had just started a war, but I was the one who held all the weapons. When I got back to my penthouse, everything felt different. The expensive art, the designer furniture, all of it was Sarah's taste. It all felt like props in a show I had never agreed to join. I placed the necklace on the kitchen counter, poured myself a glass of Macallan 25, and walked into my office. It was the only room in the house she never touched. The one place that was still completely mine. Inside my safe, there was a leather folder I hadn't opened in 3 years. It was labeled Primary Assets. It contained every document tied to the empire I built from the ground up in corporation papers. Patent ownership records, investor agreements, bank statements. It was my life's work, documented in black and white. And every single page told the same truth. I owned 85% of TechFlow Solutions. Sarah owned 15%. And that was only because I once naively believed in the idea of a partnership. I built a company. I created the technology. I negotiated every single investment. Sarah's role? She was the public face, the pretty smile for the cameras, the business development manager whose meetings usually involved more cocktails than actual contracts. That carefully constructed illusion shattered under the fluorescent light of my office. I logged into the company's financial system, my system. Sarah never understood how it worked, and she never cared to learn. Too complex, she'd always said. That ignorance was about to cost her everything. Within minutes, her corporate credit cards were disabled. The first-class trip to the Caribbean she'd booked with Cross was canceled. And the entire bill for her little humiliation circus at the ballroom? Denied due to unauthorized corporate spending. My system then froze all major accounts, no payroll. No transfers, no access. TechFlow was locked down tighter than Fort Knox. My phone started buzzing nonstop. It was a symphony of panic. Sarah, Cross, board members, our CFO, dozens of missed calls. I ignored every single one of them. I just sat there, sipping my scotch, and watched the digital empire I built grind to a complete halt, exactly as I had designed it to. By dawn, the city was awake, and so was I. The chaos was just beginning for them. But for me, it was a moment of perfect clarity. And then a call came through from Patrick at the front desk of my building. "Mr. Chun, there's a young woman here to see you." "An Emma Rodriguez? She says she works for your wife?" I didn't recognize the name, but I knew this was the next move on the chessboard. My revenge had just begun, and the first piece was walking right into my lobby. Thanks for watching. If you want to see what happens next, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss it.